it's allowable at this point.
It is.
You know, the financial stability is the
Oh,
big.
hold on. Have a seat.
No.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. You can come.
Okay,
You can
you're
come up.
addressing. Come on up.
I think you're the one the best to answer because, you know, the first time that that you were here and addressed the court was a lot of new information for me.
Yes, sir.
And I want to make sure that I'm understanding what I heard then, and then what you had emailed and listening now. If it goes this way, an ESD10 is created, and Tarrant County, you know, if I'm running numbers and I'm looking at worst case scenario, and I'd asked this in the last court, your plan or what are the options if the financial stability goes away? You had said that you would have to go to ESD1.
If the financial stability of ESD10 as its whole was unable to maintain, at that point, of course, I would approach another ESD.
Yes, sir.
I'd refer to ESD1 because they are the closest. I was not referring to if Tarrant County pulled funding or if Pelican Bay pulled funding. It was specifically to if ESD10 itself could not operate and failed alone.
Okay. But we know it's at this point it looks very skinny, the numbers do in the budget, if that were the case.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the next step would be then, and then the way I understood it, if ESD1 was acceptable or the other ESD, they would have to vacate and give ESD10 two of their board of directors seats.
That's my understanding. of the
Is that
statute.
the only option?
The ESDs can contract to each other, just like the fire department can contract to an ESD.
Mm-hmm.
There are those options, that is correct.
But I know that ESD, they seem to run a pretty good operation, and I don't know how open they are to giving up two of their seats.
Sure.
Because I see ESD as they cover a pretty large region all around y'all, and then
Third of the
Reno
county.
would be a small little stamp,
Yes,
a
sir.
little space, and I see that to me doesn't look like it when it's two
Sure.
seats on the board being given up for that small little area on the ESD1, and I don't know what the likelihood of that would be. Because I'm trying to look down the road and say, okay, worst case scenario, and then it goes that route. What's the likelihood of that being an actual real option? And then if that's not a real option, then what?
So what I want to bring to you guys' point is that Parker County, and I don't know the exact statistic, I think it's number 6 in the state, is one of the fastest growing counties. Something along those
Four.
lines. Number 4.
In top 10.
There you
So,
go. I've spent a long career in real estate. You have a financial background. You have a financial background in insurance. I think all of us in this room are intelligent enough to know that growth is still going to occur within Reno, whether the city is there or not. And if the department is able to operate as it currently is at 312,000, and the anticipated projection is 303, and by the time we actually do start collecting funds, it's without a doubt we can continue to operate just fine. We're already doing it. We're talking about a $9,000 difference. Now, I understand the concerns over longevity. I hope that's answering your question.
I don't know what the option is if ESD1 declined
Yeah, absolutely.
because of the board.
Sure, and that's up to them. Absolutely. I mean, there's two options. You can either to go through and merge the ESDs, which requires a vote of the two ESDs, or you can contract to them. And at the point of contract, they would not have to give up commissioners. It would be very similar to how ESD3 operates with with City of Weatherford.
So is that a viable option at the 300, and throw in 3% for rate of inflation, but not betting on the come as far as financing goes? I don't know what a contract would be with ESD1 as far as, the finances.
And the other point along that is I don't think that it's a very fiscal responsibility to go into a community, and if you want to continue to provide the same amount of response, you're going to have to spend approximately $5 to $7 million at least. And I don't know that the rest of the residents of Parker County should be spending $5 to $7 million just for the city of Reno to have fire protection either. It's something that needs to be considered.
Could I ask a question? If your funding was cut by 30%,
Okay.
so some of these dropped off, whatever, how would you manage the finances of what would you do?
Administration cost comes off the top first, right? My goal for this department since the beginning, and this is something I should have mentioned to you earlier, a lot of agencies, even ESDs and volunteer departments paid, they always buy newer trucks first. That's their goal, because we got to get to the fire, got to get to the scene. My goal was to always have staffing. So I've been the chief for approximately 5 years. Before that, I ran operations, and I did it for free. I did not start taking a salary until the last 2 years. And my opinion is you need seats in the butts to get to the fires. I'm not, sure, I'll fight fire. That's not an issue, just like any other chiefs in this county would. Those guys and those girls are the ones making the difference. So we cut admin far before we cut personnel. And that could include administration vehicles. That could all the benefits, all the things, of course.
The reason I'm asking is because if it was severe enough, you'd be cutting personnel because
Right.
you can't pay for them. That's,
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
the biggest percentage you've got. And that's the only
Yes, sir.
option that you have.
And the numbers are so high, the 86%, because you have to think last year, Tarrant County was giving us $143,000, and then they gave a small increase for staffing of 150, maybe 175, and then they gave us another 300 and something thousand. So our staffing numbers went up drastically in 1 year compared to years previous. At this time last year, I was operating 7 people, 2 people per shift, and myself. Today we're at an average of 15 full time.
So I'm not a voter, and obviously here it's not my area of the county.
Yes, sir.
But just sort of from an outsider looking in, it looks like from the outside that it's not a good financial decision. It appears from the outside looking in that it's another option would be better. I'm not a voter. I'm not trying to say, but I'm just telling you how it looks.
Sure.
For anybody that's looking at it from the outside, that this is somewhat risky compared with other options. So I'm just telling you that
Absolutely.
if somebody's looking at this from the outside, really doesn't have a stake in it, other than for the rest of the taxpayers in Parker County, it doesn't look like a good deal from my perspective. So I just want to point that out to you. No reflection at all, but it looks like it's not the best option from my perspective. Again, I'm just sitting here on the outside looking in, and it's not a reflection on you or your department or anything else, but from the outward appearance, that's the way it looks.
Well, and I respect that.
So we have to,
appreciate
we have to reconcile that with what the intent of the voters are, and we certainly don't want to tell the voters of this area what to do. So just giving you my perspective from sitting here on the outside looking in.
And I think, the term apples and oranges was used earlier, and that is a very relevant term to the situation because of the financial
I get it.
value
Yeah, sure.
of the area. I mean,
Okay.
you're looking at 16 square miles.
You've answered my questions, and I've you've been very, very open with all the information.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that.
Of course.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to come up and speak? Again, we're in the public hearing. This is y'all's time to speak on this.
I have one more question about the financial part. The delay of not receiving funds until winter of 26 if ESD10 is created, how do you manage that gap?
We have a line of credit established through Plains Capital Bank of currently $300,000. If we need to increase that, I would of course have to request that and have that discussion with them.
So let's play that out. So when does your current funding run out?
The contract for the city of Reno currently is through September 30th.
Of 2025?
Yes.
And so if this ESD10 passes, you've got a full year that you're not going to receive funding. That's where the LOC would come in? The line
The
of
line of
credit?
credit, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Well, and we would work, if the city is still in existence, of
Right.
course, the city would still maintain to work with us until those funds are established, and I have made
Sure.
them aware of that.
Sure. So if you then have to draw on a year of operational costs from a line of credit, would that impact your ability to then pay for a future engine or brush truck? Or?
It would affect administration cost first and personnel at the administration level prior to affecting anything operationally.
Sure, but you're still talking about going $300,000 in the hole on the line of credit.
So we're correct.
Okay.
And we can extend that out. That's not an issue. We have a really good relationship with them. I mean, sure, yes, their bank is going to have to take a gamble, but if they're waiting on ad valorem tax to come in, it's just like any other municipality. It's the very beginning stages.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else would like to come up and speak? Mr. Hunter, were you wanting to come up and speak? I thought you were getting that. I'm sorry.
Come ahead.
State your name, please,
My
before I
name's
get in
Eric
trouble
Hunter.
again.
I'm a citizen of Reno. I really wasn't going to speak. I wasn't prepared anything, but one of the things that I would like to say, and I've spoken with Moses, they run an excellent fire department. I mean, we've had them come out of our house on calls with when my mother-in-law was ill. No problem with their fire department. The only thing that I would like to see is I'd like to see the citizens have a choice. So if there's a way for the citizens to be able to say, we want 1 or 10 on the ballot, then that would be my preference, and that's what I'm looking at. And again, no concerns with Moses. A couple of things that I'm going to talk to him about later that have kind of heightened my level of concern with ESD10, but I'll speak to him on the side on that. He and I have a good relationship. But again, if there's a way to do it legally on the ballot, I'd like to be able to choose. Do I want 1 or do I want 10? So that's kind of my input on that. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to suppose that there's not a way to do that. A yes, no would be for 10.
I think
no vote would be
it's
for-
going to come out.
In the